The light conditions are not the best, unfortunately. It's quite sunny outside, but also cloudy, so it may change during the video. Anyway, I digress. I bought, in 2026, a Lumix G90. I already have a G9 Mark II, which is a far better camera than the Lumix G90, thanks to its dual pixel autofocus. It's very robust and professional video codecs, dual card slot. A lot of reasons why the G92 is far better than the G90, although there is one feature the G90 has that the G92 doesn't have, and it's a really good core feature which I use quite regularly for this channel, and I'll get into that a little later on. But why do I need another camera? In the next few weeks, the rugby season is going to start, and I shoot for my son's rugby team every Sunday, and I take the G92 along with this beast, the Panasonic Leica 100 to 400, 200 to 800 full frame equivalent. Really good lens for sports and wildlife. So I use that as my combination for rugby. And it is an unpaid thing. It's not a paid gig. So keep that in mind when I'm discussing things with you. But nevertheless, it's an important job. My son's team loves the photos at the end of the game, and it does help the team in terms of promotional materials and whatnot. So there is some importance there. It kind of dawned on me that I needed a backup camera for the G92. And I did play around with the idea of perhaps using the S5 II as a backup camera. Very capable camera, and has the dual pixel AF, really good spec camera. But as you know, the S5 II is a full frame camera, and this lens is a Micro Four Thirds lens. So I'm not going to be able to fit an S5 II with this lens. It's not going to happen. So I needed to think about a backup. So I was thinking to myself, well, what cameras do I have in my arsenal that I could consider? And I've got a Pocket 4K. That's a cinema camera. That won't do. I've got like a little LX2. No way, Jose. I've got a GF2. Wouldn't work, too small. And I got a GH2, which is a good little camera for video, HD videoing, but it's more a kind of, it's more of a video-centric camera that I use for little projects and stuff. So, the AF is really abysmal on that, and it's not going to do the job. And then, of course, I've got the GX80, which is a stunning little kind of travel camera, good for street, but not really a sport photography camera. And its biggest issue would be the ergonomics, the handling for sports, and obviously the weight of the lens on this camera body would just be too unbalanced and uncomfortable. So that put me in the market for a backup camera, and also a second body where I could perhaps put on a 12 to 35 and get some kind of wider shots, maybe some portraits of the players, and even do a little bit of video separate with the G90 rather than trying to do both video and photo with the G92. On my journey, on my quest looking for a good backup body, I did obviously consider what many of you who know your Panasonic Lumix Mark 4 cameras would be screaming at me, would be get the OG G9. And that was very tempting, and I was considering that, but because it's not a paid gig, I didn't want to, or I couldn't really justify paying the extra £100-200 that I would need to get the G92. But that would be a fantastic backup body to the G9 too. So why the G90? Well, I got it for £260 on eBay, used, in really good condition. So quite affordable for what it is. And what you're getting with this camera, you're getting a really good, rugged camera. It has weather sealing, it has IBIS, it has a really good battery life, flip out screen, all the familiar buttons. As a Lumix shooter, I'm very familiar with the layout and the menu system, and you get in some really good 4K footage. Now, one little benefit of this is actually what people would describe as his weakness. But for me, doing sports photography, it's actually a benefit. And that is that the 4K punches in 1.1 or 1.2 times more than your usual Micro Four Thirds. So I'm getting a bit more reach with this camera. You also get in a 20 megapixel sensor, and that does help as well. If you want to crop in a little bit on your images, you can do that, and the 20 megapixel sensor is really nice. Now, this is not a sports photography camera, so the AFC performance in stills photography is not going to rival or come close to the likes of the G9 II, but for me, for an unpaid gig, and a backup camera that's not going to cost the earth, it'll do a good job. Now, the one thing about this camera, which I really, really like, and I think is a massive plus for this, if you're considering the G90 or G95 if you're in America, but it is the image quality that comes out of this camera. This image quality is aged very, very well, and it is really good for YouTube or some paid client work. I wouldn't hesitate to use this camera for some paid work as perhaps a B or C camera. Now, the hidden feature I alluded to earlier, which the G9 doesn't have, but the G90 does have, and that is 4K live cropping. Yeah, very odd choice to leave it out, but I took this G9 and I was shooting some B-roll for a video I was going to do, and I was searching and searching and searching for the 4K live crop mode, and I could not find it. And I looked it up, and there is no 4K live cropping on the G9 II. But the G90 and other older Lumix cameras have it, such as the GX80, in fact. This does have it. So that's a really useful tool. And if you're not sure what 4K live cropping is, essentially what happens is you can do pans and zooms internally inside the camera without moving the camera whatsoever. And effectively what happens is it punches in on the 4K sensor and outputs a panned zoom video clip that is HD. But it works really well, fantastic for B-roll, product kind of shooting, and really, really useful. So who should buy the Lumix G90? Well, I think anybody in the Lumix camera space looking for a backup camera, definitely something to look at. I know this was kind of dismissed. This was a very dismissed camera because the G80 was seen to be so similar to this camera, and also this was touted as a vlogging camera when it first came out, but I have no idea why, because it punched in on 4K and the contrast detector autofocus wasn't the best in video AFC. So perhaps they mismarketed this camera. I see this as a prosumer beginner camera looking to get into videography or content creation. This is a camera, again, for people looking to get into that space. This is a really good first camera. And anybody buying used, looking for a bargain, check these out because they're really good. You got the mic, you got the headphone, you got the micro HDMI, which isn't the best, but it's there if you want it. Flippy out screens. I mean, there's not much else more I could say about this camera. It is absolutely fantastic. Now, is this going to replace a G9 II? Absolutely not. But then specs aren't really everything, and getting the right camera doesn't always mean getting the second best camera, or getting the right backup camera doesn't always mean getting the second best camera to your main camera. I mean, the G90 solves a lot of problems for me, and I know I'm going to get some good use out of it, and I know it's going to do a good job for me. So very happy with that. Let me know in the comment section what you think. Are there older cameras you still rely on to this day? Doesn't have to be Panasonic or Micro Four Thirds. It could be any camera whatsoever. But yeah, older cameras still doing a job in 2026, and that's fantastic. So that's it for me. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.